I am delighted to bring Lisa McCourt to you today. I have known this gal for well over a decade, and her journey has been extraordinary. She was already a best selling author when we met, selling over 8.5 million copies of her books with more than 9,000 Amazon reviews. But not only is she a fantastic writer, look her up on Amazon or maybe at your independent bookstore, but she has a second gargantuan skill. And that is to help people bring joy back inside themselves. She's perfect for our topic today of finding and releasing limited beliefs, especially around how much happiness we allow ourselves to have in our lives. So, as she tells me, we all have these limiting beliefs about the amount of happiness we give to ourselves or cultivate to ourselves. And she's continued to teach people how to open that up and have more of it for in all different ways in their lives. So our episode today is filled with these ideas, journal prompts, even more, just tons of stuff to help you identify and start increasing your own joy set point, as she calls it. So, Lisa has shared her trainings on stages around the world. She now delivers her vibe rocketing program primarily through her online small group, Joy Circles, which we will get into. So, please enjoy Lisa McCourt with myself. And if you would love to have more information about her, you can always find some of the things she's giving you either posted below this episode, or you can go to her website at lisamccourt.com. Now let's go. Hi, I'm Summer McStravick with flowdreaming.com, and welcome to this series, Scarcity Thinking Sucks. So do limiting beliefs. So let's dissolve your limited thinking, dump those scarcity thoughts, own your power, and get you back on your feet, reaching for the stars. Over the course of these episodes, you'll hear from some really brilliant minds about ways they pinpoint and blow up limiting beliefs in their specific areas of expertise. So come with me on a journey into your mind and heart, and let's see what we can find in these very enlightening conversations. Hello, Lisa. It's so wonderful having you here. I just introduced you to everybody, and well, I'll admit to the whole audience, we've had a few different starts to this interview due to my own error. But Lisa's so good; she's sticking around with me, and so we're going to talk about some of the best things that we've already talked about and catch you guys all up. Um, I'm going to start with the fact that you and I have known each other for a very long time, maybe at least 15 years now, circling kind of
I
in
think so.
others' lives, right? And
Yeah.
I've watched you grow and change, and you've watched me grow and change. And I was telling you, I've stayed on your mailing list this whole time. Haven't read every single one in 15 years, but I've been on the list. God help me that long. And I love the work you're
Mhm.
doing now. I love it because it's about joy, it's about happiness, it's about shifting your emotions. Um, so you're really perfect to talk about limited beliefs and how you kind of bust through those. So we were talking about how you made a shift in the last few years from something that kind of became a limiting belief. Do you want to just share about that and your ghostwriting and how you moved to what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I had been doing basically what I'm doing now. When you and I first connected all that time ago, I've been
Yeah.
teaching joy in my workshops and leading people in joy trainings. And for a while, after the Hay House book came out, I started doing a lot of ghostwriting for other people, and I thought that was ideal because, truthfully, the Hay House experience, I wasn't like a natural marketer. I could go up on
Yeah.
stages and be really, really enthusiastic and authentic the first 45 times, and then it's like, what, I have to say that again, and it started feeling so inauthentic, and I just
Yeah.
realized I'm not.
Kind of
We
like
didn't
we're
say this.
doing this interview for the third darn time, but we're going to stay authentic. Just kidding. Just kidding. No. But I know what you're saying, and keep going.
Oh, that's so funny that I didn't even think of that when, about our experiences now. But that's why I'm talking about completely different things. See, I can't say
I
the same
know.
thing
Look,
twice.
we're going in a whole other direction. Okay. That's great. Let it flow.
But anyway, I had decided that I had the best gig in the universe because I'm always creating the next best gig because that's what we do, right? We have desires and we bring them into fruition. So I got to continue learning. I'm always the eternal learner. I love figuring out new bits and pieces of this whole big crazy life puzzle. I got to study with like our gurus and masters, like these total like world changer consciousness raising people. I got to learn their methods and just make their words all pretty in a package for them. And I thought I had the best gig in the world until I realized through doing some of my circles, which I was doing on a very small basis, that I really, my joy is with people. I somehow just content creation where here's everything I know and here's all my blood, sweat, and tears and the things that I've like just learned and want to pass on to you. Here it is, random stranger out in the void. Good luck with it. It stopped being fulfilling to me. So really the part that lights me up that I realized I wanted more of my life to be is working with people in intimate circles. So that's how Joy School has evolved over the years to be now. Everything is delivered through these small online groups, and that just fills my heart with joy.
And that, before we go into joy circles, because I know everybody's going to want to know what's a joy circle. When you made that shift from doing something where you were popular, you were in demand, the very fact that a lot of these world-renowned teachers said, please work with me, write with me, write for me. I'm sure at some point you felt like, God, this pays the bills. I'm being recognized. I'm being taught. I'm like, how could it get better than this? I can't leave this. This is it. And then that wonderful thing became a limiting belief. And I think it's what a lot of people experience when they're also kind of locked into something. They've been doing the job for 20 years, or it seems like it's so great. And the beautiful bits of it decline into almost scarcity thinking, like something so good becomes now something that they can't leave because what if I'm not as good at the next thing? Or what if the next thing doesn't make me money? Or what if this is the only thing I'm good at? But you made that shift. And how did you make that jump? Like was there a moment or a day when you just said, oh my God, I've trapped myself?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't think it was a specific one. I think it was sort of a gradual realization, but it was through the work that we were doing in the circle because I'm just a guide. I present, here's what the concept that we're going to be working with this week. Here's the home play that we're going to do, but I do it too. Like I'm part of this group experience where we all really learn from one another and we just spiral together to ever higher, frequency levels. And it was through the group work that I realized, you know what, I can choose what's bringing me the most joy and make that more in my life because it's just one of the exercises that we do is looking at the different segments of our day and the different segments of our life and where can we just grant ourselves more joy? Where do we have that option? And I realized that it was just time to pay more attention to the parts that were feeding my soul.
I love that phrase you just used. Where am I allowed to grant myself more joy? I mean, I want to do some journaling afterwards and just write that down myself. Where am I allowed to grant myself more joy? Because for me, that right there helps me see some of the limitations and the restrictions I put on myself and to question those. Like, can I have more joy with my body? Can I have more joy with my family? Can I have more joy in my work? How can that be done? And why did I limit myself there? What are the things that held me from that? Am I on track? Am I falling into your sisterhood here?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, same sister. That is like for sure the whole deal there. And I love that you use this term scarcity thinking. That's not something that I have really like paid attention to or heard a lot of that term. But what came to my mind around the scarcity thinking is all of our thinking is a scarcity situation. Thinking is inherently this hugely scarcity demonstrating process because all of our thoughts come to us through that filter, that perception filter that we created a long, long time ago based on these beliefs that we set up when we were very young, and we carry it throughout our lives and we don't realize it because it just becomes the water that we swim in. But all of our thoughts and perceptions are coming through this filter, and that inherently makes the process of thinking a scarce situation.
Yeah, I haven't thought of it the way you just described it. That we have this potential for all of these thoughts, all of these possibilities, but we shrink them down into this narrow little funnel that we are able to see or allow ourselves to see. What do you think?
Yeah,
Both?
I think that until we become aware of the filter, we think it's all that we can see. I've heard different statistics on this, but I use Joe Dispenza's numbers that there are 400 billion bits of information available to us at any given moment, and only 2,000 can land in our consciousness. So how does our awareness decide which 2,000 bits of information to see? It's all whatever we allow through our filter. And we set up these beliefs. I call them bucket beliefs in joy training. I've seen them called different things, but we set up these beliefs when we're very young about what women are, what men are, what money is, what rules are, what I am, what my place in the world is. And we have these very basic human tendencies. We have a confirmation bias, which means whatever I decided about myself, men, women, whatever, my filter is going to be set up to look for more confirmation of that,
Yeah.
whether it's making us happy or not. So if I've set up a bucket about my own unworthiness, I'm just going to see that everywhere.
Mm.
And we have a negativity bias that's still part of our reptilian brain. We were talking earlier about, we're still in survival mode to a large extent at this point in evolution of humanity. So our negativity bias is also going to put us on high alert for anything that feels like it's protecting us. From our caveman days, if there's a rogue wind over the grass, it could just be wind or it could be a predator. So we're going to assume the latter so that we can stay safe. And we carry these biases around, and that's what partly affects the filter that we see everything through and keeps us from seeing all those opportunities that could be joyful.
Pardon me, I am taking notes as you speak because I'm like, oh, I want to remember that. I want to remember that. So if you see me tapping and looking, I'm like, keep talking, keep talking. um,
Uh,
Gosh, your description of a filter is fascinating because I also use filter, but in a slightly different way. I often use it when it comes to our empathic awareness and how we filter, true knowledge and information through this filter of our beliefs. But it's very similar, just applied in a little bit of a different area, I'd say. So in your joy circles, uh, I know you said that was the catalyst that made you because you're doing it with everybody. You're part of the process. If they level up, you level up. If you level up, they level up. So, do you feel that being in, I don't know, being in community with others like that magnifies or sort of doubles down on this effect? Or is there, to get really kind of, I don't know, out there, do you feel that everyone's little narrow band of information kind of maybe starts to overlap a little or give you more? Do you know what I'm saying? Where I'm going with this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. We're combining our energy. It's greater than the sum of his parts.
Yeah.
So we are holding one another in the highest vision. There are certain things that we just repetitively do week after week that
Mm.
really raise the vibration of the group. And the way it's woven together, there's really no way for anyone to lower anyone else's vibration in the group, even though we might all come in at different points. And even on different weeks, we're going to come in at different points. It's always an elevation tool for everyone present. And yes, the combining is critical. We have midweek group meditation sessions where it's just sitting there on Zoom. You just easily meditate by yourself, but we usually do guided ones when we do it together. But the combined energy of the group and meditation just amplifies the power of the meditation.
Mm. So when you come to this, and I'm asking you kind of the details about what you specifically do because people are coming in saying, I don't have this. I don't feel good about myself. I don't think I'm able. I'm not, you focus a lot on worth and self esteem. They come in and they say, I want to be where you're at. I want to be in the vibe of this group. help me reach that vibe. And then once I do you think I will be able to sort of transcend this stuff in me that's blocking me? Will I even be able to see the stuff in me that's blocking me? I think that's a big thing for a lot of people. I mean, does this happen? Is this what you guys do?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like people come in with sort of goals again that are all about their external situation. And I always say we travel two paths in Joy School. We have, first and foremost, we learn how to have joy and bliss and inner peace because that's a skill that none of us were taught. And it's not something that comes naturally. So we learn the skill of being happy.
Mhm.
And then the parallel path is we have desires out there in the world. And there's nothing wrong with that. We should have desires. We're here to have this human experience. Desires are what propel us forward and keep life interesting and juicy. So yeah, identify what you want to create out there externally. And we'll do that. We'll manifest all those things, but not because having these externals is what's going to bring you the joy and bliss. That's a separate track. You got to learn that first. And we think it goes, once I have this, I'll have that. And it's actually the opposite. It's once I get the energy
Woo!
right over
Preach it, sister.
here,
I'm with you. It's the same thing I say. I love it. Keep going. Keep going.
then that's when all of this effortlessly, automatically falls into place. It's an inside job.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, people will come in thinking they want to change all this, but mostly we just work on this.
Yes. And you start with the skill of being happy, which we're not taught. And maybe another scarcity belief is that we only think we're allowed so much happiness. To go back to this list that I want to write in my life about where do I, limit the amount of happiness in my job? Where do I limit the amount of happiness in my marriage? Why do I limit it, etc. So you teach them what it is, how to feel it, or why you're allowed to have more of it. Like, what are your, go off on that, would you?
Yeah, I've always called it the set point. We all have a set point for joy. Just
Mm-hmm.
like the thermostat, when it reaches a certain temperature, it's going to try to correct it and bring it to that. We have an amount of joy that based on those beliefs that we created really early on, that's how much we deserve. That's how much a person should have in their life. And these are just beliefs, which was, we're just flimsy little thought forms. Beliefs are really nothing. We can work with them. They're malleable.
Yeah.
And we don't realize it. It's under the radar of our conscious awareness. But anytime something comes knocking on our door that might bring us a shit ton of joy, we're going to say, we're not going to realize why, but we'll not trust it or step
Yeah.
away from it.
What's the catch? Am I going to lose my job if I do that? Is my
Because we're
family
bumping
going
up
to hate
against
me
that
if I
set
start
point.
doing this? Right? Things like that, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about just recalibrating the set point, recognizing it for what it is, and taking the steps to raise our set point.
Right. And allowing yourself to trust those things that come in. God, for me, I always see in people that is one of the hardest things. And I don't mean to say that like a lack statement, but it is one of the things that we are most in growth around. That's a different way of saying it. Letting
I like that
yourself,
way of saying it.
yeah, letting yourself have more, be more, trusting that if you do it, just like when you made the leap from being this fantastic ghostwriter, that it's going to be okay, that it's going to work. And I see in people that they are years past the point when they should have made the change. And I always say, you're like fruit on the tree and you were ripe and now you're getting all moldy and you're dropping off the tree. You should have picked this 2 years ago. What are you doing? And it's like there's a moment of waking up like, you're right. I've been feeling like this for years now. Like, well, but I don't trust. I'm like, well, then you're going to fall on the ground and replant it and start the whole thing over again. I don't think you want that. Let's pick that fruit. So, how do
It's
you
a
like,
beautiful analogy.
well, it's weird, but it kind of works. How do you like when you're talking with your circle sisters, your joy and brothers, I'm sure everyone, and all genders included, um, how often does that topic of trust come up?
Oh yeah, anytime that we do any of the fear exploration, fear exercises,
Mhm.
it's about what we were taught to trust and not trust, and a lot of our desires aren't coming from our true soul self. Our desires so often are inherited from our families or our society or our compensating tendencies. A lot of our desires are about wanting to have or be something that'll make us feel like we have more worth to others, that we'll be able to display a different, better, more polished persona to others. And we'll do these desires if somebody comes in with them. If that's what you want to create, we'll manifest it, whatever. But we get discerning about whether our wants are coming from our true soul self or if it's one of these other kinds of wants. Nothing wrong with getting those, but usually when we get those, they don't bring you the feelings that you want. They're just it becomes a moving target. You get that one and you need the next one and the next one and the next one. So yeah, I think getting clear on that. What was the original question? I think I went off on a tangent.
No, but I love where you were going with that. I see that same thing too. I call it the hamster wheel. The hamster wheel of desires that you think will get you to where they're going to get you, but they never do because you always need more because it's an unfillable hole when you take it from that perspective. But I asked you about trust and how often you discover that it's a trust issue to be able to move into more joy and trust that it's available in there.
Right. So I think that's what got me sidetracked is that when we start discerning why we want what we want, and our soul doesn't care about impressing anybody. Our soul doesn't even calibrate like any feelings of unworthiness because our soul knows that we're limitless and eternal and can do anything that we want. Yeah. So once we start putting away, not putting away because we honor them and take care of our desires that are not our true soul desires, we see that most of our fear-based desires don't even resonate with our soul, so they become less important. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It also makes me want to ask you, do you think that the sheer repetition of the fact that you are getting together every week, you are, as you said, holding each other in the highest vision, do you think just cultivating that is almost a process or a technique in itself that just sort of builds and builds and builds more of that trust?
Yeah, that's why it's my exclusive model right now. I see so much power in the power of group. And, I talk about a lot of personal development things that we've all heard before. We all know we're supposed to stay in the present moment, just to take, like a little like really tried and true example. And we've all heard it and we've all intellectualized it. And maybe we've said, yeah, that makes sense to me. But I call it the kerclunk. Like there's something happens with repetition and hearing people's experience of the different exercises where one day it just settles into your heart and you can see it in someone. And that's what permanently changes the filter. And suddenly once these things that we've all heard 1,000 times, I'm getting goosebumps. Once these things that we've all known, because we've all been swimming in these personal development waters, most of us aren't, new to it when they come to my group. Mm-hmm. When it goes kerclunk and it shifts your filter, like everything in the world starts changing and they'll come back week after week and report on it. And even if it's not happening to you yet, but you see it happening to one of your group mates, it just paves the way energetically for you to be the next one to step into it. And when we see how, shifting that energy shifts everything externally, I think it does definitely depend on the repetition, the weekly getting together for it to unfold properly.
Yeah. Almost as if you don't have enough trust in your own self, you can kind of piggyback or rely on the wings of your, circle buddies. For I don't know what you call them, your joy circle buddies. That makes sense. I get that. Yeah. Have you ever encountered somebody who really wants to break through, really wants to be more joyful, but they're coming in with, oh my gosh, so much, as I would call it, scarcity thinking or limited beliefs. And you just think, I don't know if they're going to ever get this, but then they do. I mean, do you have any like star examples you could share? You're like, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus.
Names for sure, but I teach from a lot of people. I one of my clients recently called Joy School a personal growth boutique because I'm a messenger. I've learned from everybody in the world. So I kind of like feel the room and say, oh, let me read you this, or let me tell you this, or let me teach you this. So if I see there's a situation like that going on,
Yeah.
now my circlers, if they listen to this, are going to know that I was talking to them. But I'll pull in Michael Beckwith. He talks about the 4 stages of enlightenment and how, the first stage is life happens to me. When, I have no control, I'm a victim, everything out there is happening to me. And the second stage is where a lot of people are in our circles, in the where we understand energy, we know how to manifest. And then it's like life happens by me. I'm making life happen. That's really cool. But then the third stage is life happens through me, meaning, that's when we can sort of get past our arbitrary little wants and desires and really, tap into what's meant for us, what's profound for us. So if I see some of that going on, I'll just sort of spend some time talking about the different stages and wait for someone to see, oh, I don't want to admit it, but I think I'm in that first stage. I think I'm still thinking that life happens to me. I have little tricks like that where I don't have to actually call anybody out.
Oh, bless you. I I wasn't really asking you to, but I love that you put it in that paradigm. Um, it also makes me think that sometimes I feel like I'm in the third stage. Life is happening through me. I'm there, maybe in one area that I've really spent some time getting some expertise in. But then I'll look over at another area of my life and say, "Oh, I'm still in that first level over there. How can I be in these, wildly different places inside myself? This is just happening to me. I can't get out of it. When's it ever going to happen? When's it going to change?" You know all those words. And I just think that there can be different points in each of us, like we're a spectrum of those.
That is absolutely true. We can be completely at one level in one area of our lives and not in others. And that's the growth. That's the beauty of the spiraling, is that we just keep up leveling it.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. My mind is clicking. I have so many I have so many thoughts here.
I can tell.
I can't wait to go visit one of your joy circles. So when somebody is part of this joy circle, do they just stay for a long time? Is it just like a continuous, ongoing support system? I mean, how do you create this and frame this, and like how could somebody get a taste of it if they wanted to kind of get to know more about you?
Well, the circles itself, I sell in 8-week bundles just because it really takes 8 weeks to really make any kind of a shift. But most people will continue beyond the 8 weeks because it's always changing and, evolving. Um, the first Monday of every month, I have a free joy party Monday nights. It's called First Monday Joy Party. And I think at the time that this is going to be airing, it's going to be just prior to Joy Party. I invite co-hosts. So my co-host for June is Scott Stabile, who is just so deliciously authentic and such, to my mind, a real raw, profound teacher. And I'm so excited. So I'd love to invite your people to come Monday night. It's free. You get a little taste of Joy School with a co-host. In July, Summer is going to be the
Oh my
co-host.
gosh, I know. I thought you might say that.
Yeah, no, we talked about that. Is that okay to say? Because you
Of
said that
course.
you would do this.
Of
Okay.
course.
I went to my bookshelf before we talked today. I went to my bookshelf, and I will confess that I haven't pulled this down recently, just for whatever reasons, because I'm always on like the next thing, the next thing. But I want you to see. This is from like 10 years ago. Do you see? Can you see all these little tabs?
Oh my gosh.
How
Wow,
often I
Lisa.
quoted you to
Oh,
my joy groups. That many tabs is how many times I read from this book in my joy circles, because it is so profound and fantastic. And I can't wait for you to bring that to the
oh,
tribe on July, whatever first Monday of July is. 5th. I think it's the
I
5th.
think it's the fifth. I think it's the fifth. Gosh, you're making me feel so incredibly inspired right now. I've got 3 books under my belt that are written, and they're just sitting on my computer, and they're my joy. But I'm just like, well, again, the lack thoughts. When do I have time to get to them? Do I have time to promote them? Do I really want to go find another publisher? Do I really? Blah, 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 blah. I need to get rid of all of that. I need to just get rid of that. So,
So all stories, just stories we tell
yeah,
ourselves.
I know.
Whimsy little thought forms. Poof,
Ah,
malleable.
you've inspired me, Lisa. Oh, all right.
And you've
I've got to make some
inspired me.
shifts here. I've got to do that journaling after this, and really sit with myself and think a bit about why I have limited joy in areas, and what are the things I'm telling myself about why I'm not allowed or I can't have more there. So for me, that'll be my first step.
Can
I
I
don't
offer
know if
you a
it's
journaling
what you
prompt?
do. Yes, please, please, please.
No, no, that's awesome. What you're saying, of course, if that's what your soul's telling you, then definitely, of course, journal that.
Yeah.
Um, Jacob, who is, they're not going to be in time to hear Jacob, but anyway, my first co-host this month will be Jacob Norby, and some questions that he poses that I've worked with in my group is to every morning just clear that space. What am I feeling? We don't ask ourselves enough what we're feeling. What do I
Yeah.
need?
Mm-hmm.
And then the magical one, what am I feeling? What do I need? What would I love? And just let whatever bubbles up. We don't really know what we would love until we take the time to go inward and ask ourselves.
Yeah.
And then ending with that one, point your energy hose in the right direction toward what you love, because that's the last thing on your
I, li-
mind. I
I
just
like
talk
that
about that
image. My
your
energy
head.
hose. I'm a gardener, so believe me, I know how to get that hose to the other side of the property with my thumb. Go ahead. Yeah.
And you know that whatever we're putting our attention or focus on is what we're watering, is what we're going to grow in our life.
Yep.
So we have that choice of where, you always want to be aware, where am I focusing my energy hose right now? What am I watering? And you want to water the thing that you would love.
Well, I love that. I'm going to make more notes here that you're even giving us journal prompts. I love that. And yeah, so I'm going to spend some time doing that. And gosh, is there anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
Well, your people, if they want to have a little snippet of Joy School, there's a free gift that I prepared. It's a little video of me taking people through a process to create their own individual joy booster. And it's,
Okay.
I'll admit, it's a pretty much of a first level type of a thing, because
Yeah.
as I was just sharing, I really have been so focused on working with people individually that when you said, oh, you can give them a free gift, I was like, oh crap, I'm going to have to do one of those, like hand something over. So this is my best attempt to connect meaningfully with someone that is
Yes.
not in my circle with me, so that I can look in their eyes. But
Yeah.
it's a 20-minute video, and you pause it a few times to answer the questions, but it allows you to create an individualized tool for elevating your frequency around something that you want that is not in your life right now.
I think that is a perfect thing to give people, because it's something we could do right before we join you on one of your free First Mondays. Because that, for me, the free First Monday is the gift. It's, I want to touch
Yay!
this and experience this and taste this and try it on for size. So I think that, I mean, for me, but if I say, okay, I'll do my 20-minute thing ahead of time, now I'm really prompt. I'm there and I'm all in. So, oh my gosh,
Love it.
Lisa, brilliant. Thank you. Lots of things swirling around in me, and I hope everybody who is listening and watching this is feeling the same way. So, like I said
Um,
in the intro, go to lisamccourt.com and you can find this stuff. You can also find these gifts and these links either right underneath where you're watching this or listening to this now, or of course on your site you'll have things like this too. All right.
yes.
Thank
I
you so
love
much,
you. You are
Lisa.
so wonderful. I can't tell you how happy I am to
You.
be reconnected with you. Beautiful.
Oh,
Mwah.
thank you. Mwah, me as well. All right, Lisa, take care and we'll talk again soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, Summer. Bye.